Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm not in my sound booth today due to some back issues. But today we have yet another inductee into the not-so-hallowed halls of the Dirty Devs. Now, sometimes the discussion surrounding the inclusion of some people into the Dirty Devs is not at all that cut and dry. Sometimes people disagree with my decision-making in certain instances. However, today the developers have made that decision rather easy and quite simple. And it is simple because of the long-held standard that we have on this channel that you do not silence critique. In particular, you do not weaponize the DMCA in order to silence YouTubers voicing concerns or criticisms surrounding a game and its developers, which is what we have here today with Homeguard, spelled home, not home, and their game Project Elite. And Holmgard Games have recently filed a spurious DMCA against Big Fry TV and have gone on to threaten legal action against him, and who have also attempted to strong-arm him into signing a non-disclosure agreement with them. And Holmgard Games have also given a resurfacing to the critiques and concerns surrounding a man named Sergey Titov, a person that hasn't been covered on this channel before, but it is long overdue and well-deserved. But let's get a little groundwork in first, and don't worry, we'll get to Sergey Titov in a moment, but let's take a look at Homeguard Games. So who even is Homeguard Games? Well, for people that already know the Sergey Titov controversies, of which there are many, you will notice more than a few familiar faces. First, we have Pavel Pletnev, their Kazakhstani Chief Technology Officer, and when you look at Pavel's LinkedIn, you'll find that in his employment history, we have him listed as formerly being the Chief Technology Officer for Arctos Entertainment, and Arctos Entertainment is a name that will pop up fairly regularly. Also, for Homeguard Games, we have Kirill Stadnik, the Chief Operations Officer for Homeguard Games. Now, Stadnik also has a long-time employment history with Wargaming, the company behind World of Tanks, and who deserve their own Dirty Devs video that I hopefully will get to at some point in the future. Next up, we have Dmitry Nikulin. I don't care if I'm pronouncing that right or not. The lead level designer for Homeguard Games, who was also the lead level designer for Arctos Entertainment. Then we have Steve Eck, who handles game design and community management for Homeguard Games. Now, Steve also worked for Freudicus, which we'll also be having to expound upon in this video, but suffices to say, Freudicus is extremely bad in its own right. We also have Maxim Belyev, the lead artist for Homeguard Games and who held similar positions at Arctos Entertainment. And we also have Alexei Rodionov, the senior C++ developer for Homeguard Games, and nothing really stood out to me with this guy. He's just sort of there. And then we have Luan Rodriguez, community manager, game designer, and localization for Homeguard Games, and this guy also served a similar role at Freudicus. So there are two company histories here: Arctos Entertainment and Freudicus. So let's talk about Arctos Entertainment first. Now, Arctos Entertainment was first known for War Inc. Battlezone and also to have ties to War Z. Now, the War Z first released back in 2012 before my channel even existed, and the War Z was widely regarded as one of, if not the biggest scam games of its time. And the development of the War Z, later renamed to Infestation Survivor Stories, was being headed by Sergey Titov, and Sergey has a long and storied history of creating games on Steam and then abandoning them. The War Z was panned by gamers owing to the fact that features within the trailers for the game weren't actually present in the game itself in a classic bait-and-switch scenario. It was rebranded and resold as Infestation Survivor Stories, which was also abandoned. Sergey and his group then came out with Outbreak New Dawn, which was for all intents and purposes the exact same game as Infestation Survivor Stories, simply being sold under a new name, which was also abandoned as well. Romero's Aftermath, the spiritual successor to Infestation Survivor Stories, which was another abandoned game by Sergey Titov under a rebranded name Free Reign Entertainment. Big Rigs Over the Road Racing, one of, if not the worst Metacritic reviewed games of all time, and also regarded as being one of the worst video games of all time. There was also Wild West Online, a microtransaction-laden cash grab that was abandoned after a single month. Both of those were Sergey Titov as well. Now, Homeguard Games, according to Crunchbase, is being funded by the Games Fund. And when you go to the Games Fund's website, you'll see Sergey Titov listed right there. Also, Sergey's wife, Lana Titov, worked at Homeguard Games for almost 2 years as a visual effects artist. Now, in the video that Homeguard Games filed a DMCA strike against Big Fry TV, Big Fry managed to hold on to an image from Romero's Revenge and their pricing structure, and then we look at the Homeguard Games pricing structure and more similarities to how Sergey has marketed his games in the past can be seen pretty readily. Also, I did mention Ferdicus. Well, Ferdicus released Infestation the Newsy and had a nasty little habit of releasing cheat tools for competing video games in order to destroy them, and ironically enough, even leveraged those same tactics against some of Sergey Titov's abandoned games in order to get more people to play the New Z, which Infestation the New Z by Ferdicus was published by OP Productions, headed by none other than Sergey Titov. So Homeguard Games have stated vehemently that Sergey Titov is not involved with the development of the game, but it is being partly funded by him. His wife worked for them for nearly 2 years right as the company was being founded. Their marketing strategy is a dead ringer for Sergey's marketing tactics of the past, and the C-suite, the people in charge of Homeguard Games, is riddled with former Arctos Entertainment and Ferdicus members, both of which were seemingly run by Sergey Titov. Also, you'll have to bear with me as this is an ever-developing situation, but if Homeguard Games has nothing to do with Sergey Titov, then they have a lot of explaining to do with this bit. I regret that I didn't ask Big Fry to check on this myself, but Big Fry did take a look at the header data for the emails he's been receiving from Homeguard Games, and something rather interesting showed up. Now, it would seem that homeguardgames.com, the domain email suffix, is living on the Arctos Entertainment Microsoft 365 domain as seen by this image here, where it is signed by arctosentertainment.onmicrosoft.com. Now, this is something that I know a lot about. Handling Microsoft 365 and Azure was one of my specialties for years, including migrating corporate email infrastructure to use the Microsoft Cloud. I know those systems inside and out like the back of my hand. I use that system for my SidAlpha.com email. And what's going on here is that when a Microsoft 365 tenancy is created, you have to add a company domain, which is always appended with the .onmicrosoft.com. You then later add your domain to that tenancy. So, for example, arctosentertainment.com would be added as an allowed domain on the arctosentertainment.onmicrosoft.com tenancy. Adding a domain name to the tenancy also requires identifiers. So, at least temporarily, you have to add either a text record or a CNAME record to your domain to verify ownership of the domain before Microsoft will provision that domain on the tenancy. So whoever owns the homeguardgames.com domain name had to allow that name to be added to the Arctos Entertainment Microsoft 365 tenancy, and then they had to set up the SPF record and MX record to aim to Microsoft 365, which I pulled a full DNS record search and verified that that has indeed been done. I also noticed as a side note that they weren't smart enough to set up DKIM or DMARC, but that's neither here nor there. Now, Arctos Entertainment is 100% run by Sergey Titov. Homeguard Games mail services are being run on the Arctos Entertainment Microsoft 365 tenancy. The C-suite of employees are all Arctos Entertainment or Ferdicus employees, but no, clearly this game has nothing to do whatsoever with Sergey Titov. And owing to the fact that numerous links in the chain all point back to Sergey Titov, Arctos Entertainment, and Ferdicus, the concerns that this is going to turn out to be yet another Sergey-style cash grab scam is the reason why Big Fry TV made his video to begin with. Now, I've seen the video in its entirety. Big Fry TV was kind enough to send me an offline copy of the video, and he has also since posted that same video in its entirety to Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. The video is, without a doubt in my mind, 100% fair use. But per public statements on the Project Leak Discord, the Homeguard team themselves outright admitted that the DMCA Takedown had nothing to do with copyright. Now, in that statement, in very poor English, they said, "We didn't took video down because he was talking bad about the company. Instead, he have used copyrighted material to talk about different company and different games that he had experienced in the past, and then alleged because of that experience that some of the employees of Homeguard Games were involved in criminal activities," which is not at all what he said. All that while showing on screen our copyrighted material, thus making guilty by association. That requires a certain level of legal response. So by that, they filed a copyright takedown request via the DMCA because of the simple fact that he was talking about stuff they didn't like him making a guilt by association comparison. By that statement alone, they admit to not considering fair use, and they admit that this was not out of a desire to protect their copyright, but out of a desire to silence him drawing comparisons between them and Sergey Titov. But it didn't end there. Now, as I just said, Big Fry TV and them have been engaging in email conversations. Within one of those emails, Homeguard Games literally tried to trick Big Fry TV into agreeing to a non-disclosure agreement where they state, In the spirit of transparency and open dialogue, we propose an opportunity for you to engage in a detailed discussion about Project Elite. We are prepared to grant you access to a developer's build of the game, allowing you to play and assess it firsthand in the company of one of our lead developers. This session is designed to provide you with comprehensive insights into the game's development, objectives, and future plans. It should be noted that this offer is extended under a limited non-disclosure agreement which, while ensuring confidentiality of the development process, will not restrict your ability to critique the game post-public release. Now I'll say that again, will not restrict your ability to critique the game post-public release, or discuss the experience with your gaming community should you choose to accept. Which, if Big Fry were to accept those conditions, he would then be legally bound by a non-disclosure agreement to not say another damn word about the game or its developers until after the public release of the game, essentially gagging Big Fry and preventing any discussion surrounding the development team's history or any potential current involvement that is now all but 100% confirmed thanks to their own stupidity and using Arctos Entertainment's Microsoft account for their domain and email from being made public and potentially harming their pre-order sales. Where after some additional back and forth, they then wanted Big Fry to remove the video and re-edit it to remove any allusion to the word scam, which was said colloquially, but they are doggedly attempting to adhere to it in strictly legal terms, which isn't how that works, if they reversed the DMCA takedown. And if he agreed to self-censor, they would sweeten the pot by giving him access to the game without the non-disclosure agreement, and also promise not to sue him if he does. And in terms of a lawsuit, Big Fry is not a smaller channel anymore. He has over 300,000 subscribers on YouTube alone, a healthy Twitch channel, and more importantly, to situations such as this, pretty good access to resources in order to combat a lawsuit that, from what I can see, would likely be only about half of the batshit crazy levels of insanity as the Acerthorn defamation lawsuit against me, but still pretty damn crazy. Everything Big Fry said within his video were either factual based on public information that is widely available and was also shown on screen, or opinion, which cannot meet the threshold of what could be considered defamation. That is, unless you're a goddamn lunatic like Acerthorn, or in the case of Arctos, Homeguard, absolutely desperate to prevent those links to Sergey Titov from entering the public consciousness. But really, guys, claiming you have nothing to do with Sergey Titov and then emailing a YouTuber you DMCA'd where your mail system lives on his company's Microsoft cloud? Honestly, how stupid can you get? And to my mind, Homeguard Games is all about 100% confirmed to be using Arctos systems, which are owned by Sergey Titov. The company received funding from his venture capital group, his wife worked for them for nearly 2 years, and the C-suite staff are all linked to Arctos and Fridikis, and Homeguard Games have weaponized the DMCA to silence critique and information in an attempt to keep it out of the public eye. And they have also threatened to sue, and they have attempted to trap Big Fry TV into a non-disclosure agreement enforced gag order, all to prevent information coming out that links them to Sergey Titov, and because of that, the links have grown ever more clear than they did before. Welcome to the Dirty Devs, Homeguard Games. I hope you enjoy your stay. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. We'll see you next time.